Hello, welcome to Untapped Libraries, the podcast where we talk to interesting people about magic decks that are special to them. I'm a host with the name Neil.
I'm a host with the name Vinny, and we're at another episode of Untapped Libraries. Thanks for joining us.
I want to announce our first sponsor.
Yes.
Untapped Libraries is brought to you by Neil and Vinny.
Yep, we paid a lot of money to sponsor this episode.
Yep. If you need people to talk about magic cards and Rachel Weeks is not available, Neil and Vinny.
Yeah, higher though.
Yeah.
I don't know how much we'd charge though.
Zero.
This is we spent too much money to charge $0.
I don't think we're gonna get someone to pay us the big bucks.
Well, not yet. Not with this commercial, at least. We do like talking magic, and that's why we started this podcast. It feels like the end of Final Fantasy and the beginning of Edge of Eternities as we record today.
Yeah, we don't know exactly what Edge of Eternities is going to be fully yet. We could guess.
Spoilers have started coming out, so we know some of the stuff.
This will come out probably way after. So,
yeah. Right now, we only know some of the cards.
Yeah.
When you hear this episode, you'll be like, they were completely wrong. Or completely right.
I can't believe they printed the entire restricted list into standard. That's pretty crazy.
That was a shock. As a special guest, they put the entire reserve list.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah, that would be a wild decision. But I'm glad they did it.
Fastbond in standard.
Yep.
Ancestral Recall in standard.
Standard, yeah. Millstone with the original art in standard.
Yeah, all the culturally insensitive cards are back in standard.
No. I hope this is wrong.
I hope so. I don't think it's going to be right.
Yeah, I don't think that's going into Edge of Eternities. I think it's mostly going to be space stuff, and it looks like it has a lot of swirls in it.
Yeah, a lot of nebulae.
Yeah.
I'm happy. I was a little worried it was going to be a little too hat-y, and it was going to be like, make it so, and all these references to sci-fi, and it seems like a great set. I'm really into it.
I'm super into it. I think it'll be a good time. Yeah, and then the cards look good so far. I mean, I've only seen a bit of it, but
Art's fun.
Down. Art's fun. Yep. Theme's fun. Space fantasy. Why not? Bring it on.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
But then after that, it's I think Spider-Man, and then like SpongeBob.
Yeah, and then it's downhill into
it's not for us.
You know, actually, our guest has done a series of decks based on movies.
Okay.
He would actually be someone who is really good at, I think, at making a Universes Beyond set.
Oh, I'd be into that.
One of the things that really hooked me with our guest, Nick from Nick's Lotus, is he made a Big Lebowski deck. And that's something that I had the idea of doing, spent about an hour on, and then never touched again. And then as soon as I saw his commander and the theme, I was like, sold. This is amazing. So should we bring our guest on? And we can...
let's do it. Let's say hello to Nick from Nick's Lotus. Thanks, Nick, for joining us today.
Hey, thank you guys.
We've got you here to talk about a deck, but not strangely the Big Lebowski deck.
Not the Big Lebowski deck. So I did want to touch on that because I had trouble coming up with a commander, and then you came up with Angus Mackenzie, which is fog on a stick, and I was like, obviously that's it. That's so perfect.
Yeah, when you're spending most of your life hotboxing, I feel like fog on a stick is pretty accurate.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a pretty good commander for him. And it looks exactly like the Big Lebowski.
It's perfect. I don't think the dude has blue in his color identity, maybe, but other than that, it's like spot on.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody's going to abide, the dude abides.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Well, thanks for joining us, Nick. We've got you here to talk about a commander deck, a different one, and maybe you can tell us a little bit about it.
Yes, a couple precursors before we get into the deck. Keep in mind, this deck is like from 12 years ago.
That's what I love about it.
So it is so slow. It is so battle cruisery. The games were easily going from like 10 to 20 turns back then. Specifically, I guess I want to talk about the Planeswalkers before we get into anything, because my modern decks run like no Planeswalkers.
Yeah, so I think I have one.
Exactly. So it's so interesting to see so many in an old deck, and that's only because games were going like 20 plus turns, and most Planeswalker effects are just like a free spell every turn.
I kind of think of the planeswalkers as like sorceries. If I
Yep,
can cast it and do one effect, that's about as much as I can expect. And then it'll
exactly.
save me a little bit of damage.
Exactly. That's why Elspeth Sun's champion is my favorite planeswalker. Because I'm like, I would play a
Yeah.
sorcery to create 3/1/1s every turn. That
Yeah.
seems fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, and so this is basically a commander deck that you built from 2013, and it really
Yep.
feels like a snapshot, like almost like a time capsule of commander from that era.
Exactly. That's cool that you said that because that's exactly what I was going for. I was thinking that a lot of the people on here would probably go for more like modern approaches to decks.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Hmm.
wanted to go for more like a snapshot and be like, hey, it's okay to play some like pre DH decks. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like it's okay to run some slower decks in there. What's funny about the Teneb deck is the second you guys sent me the email about submitting a deck list that I wanted to talk about, there was not a single other deck list that popped into my head other than Teneb. And that's
Mm-hmm.
because there has easily been 20 plus iterations of this deck that have come out. Almost every set that comes out, I come out with a new Teneb deck, and my whole play group's like, "Oh, you're running Teneb again? You're seeing if it works this set?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm seeing if this set was enough to make it playable."
So just to bring our listeners up to speed, can we read Teneb? It's a classic, but it's not a card
Yep.
people probably see that often. Teneb, comma, the Harvester, is 3, a black, a green, and a white for a 6/6 dragon with flying. And whenever Teneb, the Harvester, deals combat damage to a player, you can play 2 and a black. And if you do, put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So it's a reanimate on a stick.
Yep.
It can take stuff from your opponent's graveyard as well.
Yep. 100%. So
Nice.
what's so funny about this list, re-looking at it, because as I said in the email, I have recently rediscovered this list. I have not been able to find my original Teneb list in forever, and I am eventually finally logged into my tapped out account that I had when I was like 13, found my original Teneb list.
Wow.
So looking through it, there's a lot of questions that I also have.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's
Um,
great.
so in my notes, I kind of made a couple notes here, and I was like, they're going to ask about the Esper Panorama. I have no idea why I put that in there. It's so funny to look back at like what 14-year-old me was thinking
Hmm. But
because
you're using the cards you have at hand. Yeah.
exactly.
An Esper Panorama is a land. It taps for colorless. On one tap, you sack it for either a basic plains, island, or swamp.
Right. So you pay them extra mana though, so it's worse than an Evolving Wilds. Or no, is
Yep.
it untapped? Oh yeah, it's still tapped.
No,
So yeah,
it's worse.
it's just worse.
You're 100% right in saying that this was just the card pool that I had available to me when I was younger.
Of course.
And that's what makes it so interesting to me to look back on because there's so many card choices that I wouldn't make nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many aspects to it where, for example, I run a Taval deck right now, the balance scale. I don't know if you're familiar with that. New
No, go for it.
command.
Tell us what it does.
One, a blue, a black, and a green for a 4/4 flying. When it attacks, you return a land from your graveyard into play tapped. And whenever a card leaves your graveyard, you get a 2/2 black zombie token.
Okay,
Hmm.
cool.
So that's my latest deck that I run. A modern version of Teneb would look very similar to that Taval list,
Mm-hmm.
but it's hilarious to look back on it and be like, I'm running no self mill. I'm running 3 draw cards.
Wow.
It's just so funny to look
Whoa.
back on because it was such a slow format that I think your first guest brought this up where she was saying up till turn 5 doesn't matter.
Right,
And, like,
yeah,
I
Megan
really-
Wolf
That's the
was
setup.
saying just like
Yes.
just preamble.
Yep, that resonated with me so hard. And it was like, okay, maybe it's okay I submitted my Teneb list when she said that because I'm like, that's exactly how I played this deck. You're just mana ramping and you're playing the biggest creatures you can play as fast as you can. And
Mhm.
reanimation is an afterthought. If people
You're
decide
right.
to board wipe or decide to remove, then you play Teneb, then you start playing your reanimation, then you get all that stuff back. It's a completely different beast than like what reanimation is today, which is so interesting to think about.
This is actually in my blind spot. So I played during Revised, and then I stopped playing, and
Yeah,
I
both
came
both
back.
of us like we had a period where we stopped playing.
This seems to be in the era when Wizards was not specifically designing with Commander in mind,
Exactly.
which makes it really cool to me. One of the things of this era that I can see is white is not allowed to draw cards ever.
Ever. Ever,
Uh,
ever.
Yeah, it's like just like no, not allowed, verboten.
Yeah, the best it can do is like if you're behind on lands, you can go get a land.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're doing worse than everyone else, you can do as equal to everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. And because both of us have only been playing Commander for the last 3-4 years, it's so fascinating to know, one, that it's like been around super long, like relatively
Yep.
speaking, and that it's evolved so much from its early days. And this is like an amazing snapshot of what it looks like. You're right. If you were to build a Teneb deck, which it sounds like you have more recently,
Yep.
I'm sure it doesn't look like this with like 5 planeswalkers in it.
And not at all. Kind of an off-subject thing while you're talking about how long Commander has been around. I don't know if you guys are familiar, but if you go to for Wizards' main YouTube page is called now. I don't know if it's called Magic the Gathering or Wizards of the Coast now or anything. But if you type in Honolulu Pro Tour and you watch the whole footage of the tournament going on for Honolulu, at the very end, they show 4 of the judges from Honolulu playing Commander on the side of the beach, and they're
Cool.
calling it EDH, and that's before it was even a format. So like they're all talking about it, and they're like, "This is a judge played format we came up with called Elder Dragon Highlander," and that's before the whole copyright happened with Elder Dragon and all that. It's a really interesting snapshot to look at because you can see these board states that are nothing like what modern day board states would be.
Yeah, I guess like in the early days, you're just figuring stuff out. And today, if you come into it, you have the benefit of all this learned and experienced knowledge. Like,
Exactly.
I mean, even just looking at how the precons have evolved from when we started like 4 years ago to what they are now, it's like a whole world of difference.
They were almost unplayable, or not unplayable, but I actually didn't find them fun because the game sort of went on
They
so long.
slog, and yeah, they don't have really great win conditions.
There wasn't-
now they're like they play fast and they work really well.
There wasn't a lot of cohesion. I described it to my brother because my brother recently got into Magic, and he built a Coma,
The new one or the old one?
the old one.
Yeah,
The one that just spits out on the beginning of everyone's upkeep.
Right.
He built one of those decks, and he was going for a +1/+1 counter theme, a token theme, a board buff theme, and then a Voltron theme all at the same time.
Yeah,
And I explained
so
it
no
to him.
theme.
Exactly. I was like, you're setting up 4 different Jenga towers that all have one piece as the base, and all the opponent has to do is flick that one piece out, and then that whole strategy goes down.
Yeah.
Like, so you have to devote your whole strategy to going to one thing. So we finally locked in on tokens, and that deck is like a monster now. Like,
amazing. Yeah, and it's fascinating to also just see someone, like you said, like just building with the cards that they have. Whereas now, like it feels like it's pretty straightforward for people who just like, I'm going to add these cards that I'm just going to make an order and get a bunch of like 35, 40-cent cards. It fills out the deck and you're done. Whereas at the beginning, like in 2013, it would be pretty tough unless you had like a really nice stocked LGS to find cards that you're quote unquote missing, or even having the theory to be like, oh, what's my ramp? What's my removal coming from? You just like throwing stuff together when you're first starting out.
Exactly. There's so many days that I would spend when I was like around the ages of like 13 to 15, 16. I would spend in my LGS and just going through their bulk boxes and just looking through every card. And I remember I came across Necromancy in one of the bulk boxes.
Wow.
And I was like, how much is this? And he's like, 50 cents. And I was like, cool. And it's like an $8 card now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's cool when it first started, finding out what was powerful in the format compared to other formats, and like taking advantage of that before it became a thing.
I was gonna read Necromancy, and I pulled it up, and I was like,
no, the text.
I'm like, nope, just nope.
That'll take up too much of our podcast.
It's like, if you at home want to read it, read it.
It's basically Raise Dead. Like you it's an enchantment, it pulls a creature out of your graveyard into
just
play,
as a precursor. Dance of the Dead, Animate Dead, and Necromancy all just reanimate something. Just to sum it up.
And maybe it's worth taking a step back here. Like, I have 2-part questions. One, like, how did you get started in Magic? And 2, like, how old were you when you built this deck?
Awesome. I'm actually excited to explain this because I was just talking to my brother about this the other day. So I was probably, I would say like 11, 12. And my brother came home one night. It was pretty late. I always used to hang out in his room because he had a computer. He had all the Magic cards. He had all like the cool stuff I could play with. So I'd hang out in his room while he wasn't there. And he came home late one night and he's like, "What are you doing in my room?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm just I'm playing, I think it was like Call of Duty or something, whatever I was playing at the time." I was like, "I'm playing this on your computer." "What were you doing?" And he's like, "I just came back from a Xbox tournament." So one of his friends used to run a gaming store where they would have Xbox 360 gaming tournaments, and they would also have Magic tournaments. At the time, I was really into gaming, so I was like, "Oh, can I come watch one of these Halo tournaments?" So he eventually took me to one, and during the Halo tournament, there was a it was kind of wild. They used to have a lot of drafts there, but you would have like 15 to 20 players all playing in the same match. So it would be like
What?
extremely
Wait.
large free for alls.
Whoa, all in one game. Not like
Yeah.
playing their own paired matches. It's all one big mega
all in
game.
one game. All in one game.
Wow.
So my first start to the game was seeing one of those happening and then asking if I could come to one. So the next weekend, Ravnica City of Guilds was having their pre-release. So I came in and played at that, and they had one of the like 16 people free for all matches. I can't remember the cards. I think they're called bolas or something. They're like the two balls with like ropes in between them, and you like use them to snare
That's a
people's
bola.
legs. Yeah, it was an equipment that was like a bola, and I ran one of those and I put it in play, and I remember the whole table being like, "Why are you playing that?" And I'm like, "Oh, it looked cool." And no one went after me because I was so new. And I ended up coming in like sixth. So I like fell in love with the game because I was like, I'm pretty good at this, obviously.
Oh,
And I
man.
could go to the owner of the business and I'm like, hey, I came in sixth. This game's really fun. And he's like, do you want a free pack of Ravnica? And I was like, 100%. So he gave it to me. And I still remember I pulled a foil Wormweaver coil from
Oh,
Ravnica.
wow.
4 and 2 green, equipped creature or enchanted creature. It's an aura. Gets +6/+6, and you can play 4 and 2 green, sack it to make a 6/6 trample.
Amazing.
And for me, like
Yeah,
seeing all these terrible bulk cards that I've pulled, I was like, oh, I'm making a deck with this immediately as I get home. And I immediately fell in love. I went home. I immediately used all of my money from like chores to buy my brother's bulk collection off of him. Spent the next
love
2
it.
weeks just building decks nonstop. And that was the start of it. I literally have since then been obsessed with making decks.
That's amazing. How long does that last? A 16-person free for all?
Honestly, all night. What's so funny about that is I don't know if I should tell this story, but I'm going to tell it. What's so funny about that is I was so indoctrinated into the local card shop, like whole aura of it so early that I was like 11, 12 years old playing drafts at 3 a.m. with all the people that like local the card shop and like the owners. Right. And I was just like the one young kid playing there. And they were all like, you're cool for your age. So I'm going to let you hang out and play some drafts with us. And
so wait, did you just think that like a 16-way game was just the way people played? Like this is just totally normal?
What's so funny about that is that that's exactly what I thought. When I saw that, I was like, whoa, this game is massive. There's so many different things you have to think about. And I wasn't wrong. But it's like 16 people is a little over the top. Like,
yeah, how do they run tournaments?
Yeah, exactly. Is there a point system? What's going on here?
That's amazing. Wow. Even a commander game with 5 people, I will now refuse to play like a straight like free for all 5. Like there's variants with 5 people with like the king and the knights and the usurper and all that. Yeah. That's not so bad.
Yeah,
but
two-headed giant.
Yeah,
fine.
sure. But 5-person free for all commander, it feels like it's like 5 times as long as a regular commander game.
Yeah.
Oh man. What's the worst about that many players is there's enough intervals that are involved that most players will not be able to decide who the threat is until it's too late.
Yeah.
When there's that many players. Like I played a 10-way EDH game with my brother a few months ago, and there was someone running I can't remember his name, the Tamir Dragon deck, who can make like tokens that are copies of dragons.
Myrm the Worm.
Yes, him. Way before it was too late, or way after it was too late, the whole table was like, oh, this dragon deck's a problem. And the whole early game, they were targeting me playing what's his name? Chainer. I was playing Black-Red Chainer, and I was just reanimating stuff, and they were like, you're reanimating some early stuff too quick. We're going to target you. And before they even realized it, like, there's too many players to, like, accurately dictate who the threat is.
Yeah.
So that dragon deck is just, oh, what's up? I have 13 copies of my biggest dragon.
Was there it's like a rule about combos? Because I feel like I would want to play, like, stacks. Like things.
Oh no.
Well, like if I was trying to win, I would. Sure. I actually don't play stacks almost ever. But like anything that was like, imagine like a Turgid in that with like you cast one edict, everyone sacrifices a creature, and you suddenly get whatever,
9
16
creatures.
creatures on board.
Yeah. So that's the thing. We only played with that group once. It was just like an offhand thing
Right.
they invited us to. Personally, I had one of my subscribers ask me about this recently, about how I thought about like tutors and infinite combos and all that. I feel personally that the most fun commander is played when you're actively engaging with what the core of the format is meant to be played with, if that
Mhm.
makes sense. So when it was made to be a singleton format. It was
Mhm.
made to be random, and it was made to be a way to play some of the fun multiplayer cards you couldn't play before.
Right.
Mhm.
So in my brain, running tutors, like even something as simple as running a single tutor, is running a second copy of every single card in your deck.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so that's completely taking away of the entire point of commander, like
Hmm.
in my personal opinion. If you have
Sure.
fun doing that, that's completely fine. That's why I run counter spells.
I recently did this project where I made monocolor decks. So I had a mono white deck, and then I made a mono blue. I have not made green. My actual hot take is that green is the least fun color. Each deck, I was really trying to lean into whatever that color was trying to do. My mono white deck, I used catch up ramp, like a lot of catch up ramp. And when I got to black, I was like, one of the strengths of the colors is tutors. So I have a couple tutors in it, but I sort of keep it as one of my stronger decks. I feel really mixed about putting the tutors in because I do completely agree with you, but I found this sort of trying to walk the line between doing what the color is really good at and, like you're saying, keep the play not too repetitive.
But I think one of the cool things about Commander is that there's space for all of those decks. There's space for like CDH, where you want it to be as highly repeatable as possible.
Yep.
Everything's finely tuned. You want as many copies as your victory conditions as possible. And then, but that's CDH. That's not, a regular Commander game. And so the bracket system does a good job of kind of like spreading that out, where you're playing, a 1 where it's just meant to be like fun jank, crazy stuff, and you're having a great time, and the goal isn't to like win on turn 3. There's bracket 3 where it's like, okay, this is like competitive but not also like hyper tuned. And so there is a spectrum, and I think you're totally right in that there's some decks like a tutor feels completely wrong, and then other decks where a tutor is like, no, I need to put it in. It's a CDH.
I think you're exactly right. I was talking to my brother about this recently. It's not only Magic, it's literally everything that you come across in life. Intention is everything. So like if your intent is to like be as efficient as possible, and you play that game and you play that tutor and you get that card you need and you win that game, then I'm completely cool with that. You played like an awesome game of Magic and you got exactly what you wanted out of it. Having a blanket statement that's like an answer to any of these questions is a little disingenuous, just because it's like there's no real answer to any of it. It's what your intention is when you're coming into the game. That's what a lot of my problems are with like, you've probably seen it. There's a lot of content creators that like to hop on the push Magic down bandwagon. They're going in the wrong direction. They're doing this wrong. They're doing that wrong. And it's like, that's all fine. That just comes from a point of view of like, what's your intention with the game itself? If your intention with the game itself is to be like a fantasy Lord of the Rings style game, then I totally get you not being okay with the direction it's going.
Sure.
And that's completely fine.
And even like we mentioned earlier, and like when we were talking about like the Spider-Man and SpongeBob sets that are coming out, that doesn't excite me, but I know for sure there are people who are like, I cannot wait for these sets. I'm like, great, more power to them. And I get excited by like Tarkir, Dragonstorm, and Edge of Eternities, and that's great for me. And there's so many sets coming out, there's gonna be something for everyone. That's cool.
Yeah, not everything is for you.
Exactly. That's why I really like. I'm sorry, this is not from a disrespect point of view. This is from just me having a small brain capacity. Megan was the name of your last host, correct?
Yeah,
your last
Megan
guest.
Wolf, yeah.
Megan Wolf. She was talking about that recently, and I really liked her point of view on that, because a lot of people have had a problem with the recent race car set. I can't even remember what it's called.
Aether Drift, yeah.
Aether Drift. I loved her take on that it's like one person out there is going to be super into cars, and they're going to love this set.
Yes.
So I loved that, because I remember being little and just being so into the artwork, and then one set would come around every now and then that just like really, like Lorwyn, that really cared about artwork. And I would be like, oh man, like this is so cool. And I would see people be like, it's a little too cutesy for me. It's a little too this for me. And I'm like, oh, it really is just up to the individual. And having any individual problem with the game, you can fix that like within yourself.
Yeah, sure.
Or just wait a month and then another set comes out that you might be into.
Exactly. Exactly. Then you get a
We should probably
Bloomberg.
talk about this deck a little more.
Yeah, good,
Oh,
good
yeah.
point.
Keep
As
us on
much as
track.
I'm enjoying this conversation, I definitely want to get into it. So we have Teneb the Harvester, big dragon. It reanimates things from any graveyard. I mentioned it earlier. One of the things that stands out so much from a modern commander deck is that this is 5 planeswalkers in it. You've got Ajani Goldmane, the old school Ajani, 2 white planeswalker. He gains life. He puts counters on things. And then you get the creature token that has power and toughness equal to your life total. So it's a pretty fun ultimate. You got the old school Garruk Wildspeaker, 2 green. He untaps 2 lands for +1. He -1s, puts a 3/3 green beast. And then he does the overrun for his ultimate at -4. You got the other Garruk, Primal Hunter, at 2 green. He puts a 3/3 green beast, classic Garruk. He draws cards equal to the greatest power you control for -3. And then his ult, he puts a 6/6 worm. You got Liliana Vess, 3 and 2 black, +1. Target player discards a card, -2. Tutor. Yes?
Oh, I was just giving a to
Oh, yeah. So Liliana Vest, target player discards a card, a tutor, and put it to the top. And then -8, the crazy ult, put all creature cards from all graveyards into the battlefield under your control, which is a fun. And then I guess Karn Liberated is the 5th, 7, colorless, +4, target player exiles a card from their hand, -3, exile target permanent, -14, which might be one of the biggest alts in the Planeswalkers. Restart the game, leaving in exile all non-aura permanent cards, then put them into play under your control, which is bananas.
I hate that alt. This is
What do you hate about it? Oh, restart the game.
restart the game, whatever. Like farewell is basically restart the game.
Right.
Have you ever ulted it?
Back in the day, I ulted Karn so much. What's funny is the reason that I did it, and we'll probably get into it in a little bit. Even modern day, you can see on my channel, I made a video talking about token engines and why I think you should run like a token engine in every deck, like a handful of token engines. I think they're so good. They're blockers, they're attackers. Most ways that you win the game, whether it be poison or combat, have to do with creatures smacking your face. So if you can make tokens, that's incredibly good, like to protect yourself. So even in this deck, like all the Garuks, you can just see a groundwork for me being like, I love making tokens in this deck. And those tokens are hands down the reason that I was able to ult Karn so much. I would play like an Imria Angel. Wherever you play a land, you get a 1/1 bird with flying. And it was like, nothing's touching me. I'm just going to go ahead and keep +4 in Karn, ult him, reset with all my exiled stuff in play.
That's a
whole different monster.
Oh, it's such a different beast. One of the things that really jumps out at me is looking at the mana curve, because
yeah, definitely.
I don't know if you find this with your decks, but the more that time goes on, the tighter my curve gets.
Yeah.
Whereas I used to drop 7 and 8 drops with so much card draw, I'd rather play like a 2-drop and a 3-drop rather than 1 5-drop. But this deck, it has a 9-drop, it has 3 8-drops, it's got 5 7-drops, 5 6-drops. It is a beast.
It's insane. Because when you look at my latest build, my Arna build, it peaks at 2, and it doesn't have anything past 6, and it has 2 6-drops.
That sounds about like where I'm at with
like
most of my decks.
Exactly. And you look at this one, it's like 5, 6, 7, 8. It's still going 9. Like it's crazy. And like that's just a testament for how long games went.
Yeah, and you're top decking because you have the word draw card like on 3 things in the whole
exactly.
deck.
So what was so cool about this deck that I liked so much is in a format where games went so long, my brain immediately went to recursion is overpowered. If the game's going very long and I can keep those same things coming into play, like if you have an Avengers Zendikar and I have an Avengers Zendikar, but you have a removal spell in your hand and I have a reanimate in my hand, I end that with more tokens than you did.
Right.
My logic was like, if we can get the game going long enough, I will eventually nickel and dime these people out until it's like, I just barely won that game off of like 4 power. You know what I mean? It's so interesting how different it is because it's a completely different feel nowadays. I don't know if you guys have the same kind of feel, but in modern Commander, whenever I pass the turn, I immediately have a thought of, oh, what if I didn't play that as efficiently as I could? And they're literally going to win the turn right now.
Yeah, I often think that. I'm like, is this the last turn I'm going to take?
Exactly. Is this the last turn I'm going to take? And did I play that right? And I feel like I never thought that before. Before it was like their board state's worse than mine. That is enough confirmation to confirm that I'm going to win this,
Right, right.
which is super interesting to compare. That's a good lens to view this deck from is like if your board state was better than someone else, you were winning.
Totally. I'm also looking at like your removal kind of quote unquote package.
Yeah, look,
And you've got like you've got some great stuff.
Things.
Yeah, you got Source to Plowshares, Go for the Throat, Beast Within. You got Mortify. These are all cards that would see play in any time. But you also have Brittle Effigy, an artifact that costs 1, and then 4 tap, exile it, exile target creature. Which is a wild
5 mana.
5 mana colorless artifact rule, which is amazing.
What's so funny about that is I'm such a precautious, anxious person that I took some notes before we went on to this. And one of my notes is, why do you run Brittle Effigy?
Yeah. Even at the time, there were so many, I think, probably better cards.
100%. And the only answer that I could come up with was 2 answers. One of them was that's the only card I had access to. And the only other answer I could think of was there was maybe not as many options back then for cards that said exile. So I found that to be advantageous. But I'm going to go ahead.
I'll give you one more. It's colorless removal.
Exactly. You could run it in anything. But I'm going to go ahead and air myself out here. I'm running a Reanimator deck. So thinking that exile was in any way, shape, or form the best in removal I could use was insane. The fact that I could have just run like Go for the Throat and then reanimated the thing I killed with Teneb, but instead was like, I think exile is probably the best way to go.
You've definitely a bit of a non-bow there.
Exactly.
Thematically, Brittle Effigy is kind of awesome. It's like, I'm going to make a miniature version of your creature, and then I'm going to break the model of your creature, and that's going to kill the real one.
Right.
Love
So
that.
that's
Absolutely
pretty cool.
love that. It's like what are those dolls called?
Yeah, Voodoo Doll.
Voodoo dolls. Yep, it's like a voodoo doll. 100%. Right. Love that.
So you got cards that bring stuff back, like Eternal Witness, Sun Titan, you reanimate Safi Eric's daughter, and then you got your enchantments that are reanimating on top of Teneb. So you got Animate Dead, Dance of the Dead, Necromancy. There's so many really fun bring back from the dead mechanics that you've got going. But then you have some really pretty fun targets to bring back too.
Oh, 100%. So obviously the Vornclexes and the Reyes. If you don't know what Vornclex is, 6 and 2 greens, 7/6 trample. Whenever you tap a land for mana, it taps for double the mana, essentially. It adds 1 more of that land type. And whenever an opponent taps a land, that land doesn't untap during the next untap step. I had a lot of gross stuff like that in there. That was more of like an end game plan. I remember distinctly having games where I could have done that early. And I was like, I don't really want to do that early. I would much rather do the next thing. My favorite thing in this deck is Sun Titan, hands down.
Oh, Sun Titan's still pretty good.
Sun Titan's great.
It's incredible. My favorite thing in this deck was playing Sun Titan, getting back Animate Dead. Animate Dead grabs Eternal Witness. Eternal Witness grabs Dance of the Dead. Dance of the Dead gets played to grab another creature. And then you've got like 3 or 4 creatures in play out of nowhere. And this quickly became like super upgraded as the years went on because we had stuff like Karmic Guide and stuff like Phyrexian Regurgitator or something like that. It's the 3 and 2 black. You return something from your graveyard and you lose life equal to its mana cost.
Right.
So you had stuff like that, which were my favorite things in the world. But my absolute top favorite, like even to this day, my favorite thing to do in any deck that has access to these colors is play Sun Titan and Safi. And if you don't know what Safi does, she's a green and a white for a 2/2. You can sack Safi and then target creature. The next time it would die, it comes back into play. So with Sun Titan, you sack Safi to target Sun Titan, and then you play a board wipe. And then you board wipe everybody, and Sun Titan comes back because of the Safi trigger, and then Sun Titan brings back Safi with it. So you can just threaten that exact same thing again. So like back in the day, you just sat there on board wipes and you were just like, Safi Sun Titan, I'm going to have at least 8 power when everyone has nothing. Compared to nowadays, it's, not that strong. But back then, it was a really good play.
Here's a card that stands out Eldrazi Conscription,
Oh yeah, nice.
which is a typal enchantment now. Eldrazi Aura, 8 colorless, enchant creature. Enchanted creature gets +10/+10, has trample, and Annihilator too. Now, I don't know if you answered the question how old you were when you built this deck the first time.
So let me see. That was 2012, so I would have been 13.
That sounds about
Nice.
right for this card.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah,
Literally. You absolutely nailed it. It was literally the fact that I was 13. I couldn't afford like boosters very often. So I would every now and then trade in like a chunk of my collection to get some store credit. And then
Nice.
I'd buy a pack. And then in the Eldrazi pack, I pulled an Eldrazi Conscription.
Amazing.
And I was like, if games are going 20 plus turns,
Yep,
I might as
yep.
well drop one of these and then just make sure it ends.
This card is built for the inner 13-year-old in
Yeah.
all of us.
Also, the 2013 you nailed the bracket. You have 3 game changers exactly. With
What can I say, dude?
Yeah.
What can I
You-
say?
you-
I was ahead of the curve. I knew what the format was going to be. I knew Necromancy was going to go up to $8. What can I say?
So you got Aura Shards, Mana Vault, Boron Collects, putting this deck in bracket 3.
And
Yep.
also, kudos to 13-year-old you having a Mana Vault.
Yeah. I don't even
so
have one
what's-
of those.
What's so funny about that is me and my friends started playing EDH. We didn't know what Soul Ring was.
Mhm.
And we eventually discovered that that was a card. So we were looking all over our LGS for anyone that was willing to trade a Soul Ring. So we all got a Soul Ring. And there was one dude that used to go to our LGS. Shout out Ben. I don't think Ben's watching, but if he's watching, he would come with, you know, those guys that come to LGSs that have like all the gear.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
They are
yeah.
just loaded up. He would throw all of his stuff on the table, and like little kid me would be like, "This is amazing. Where did you get all this stuff?"
This is the
I-
coolest person in the
Oh,
world.
this is the coolest person I've ever met in my life. And he played his deck against us, and he played a Mana Vault. And we were all like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh, it's like Soul Ring, but for like one more." And we're all like, "What? That's incredible!" It's so funny because like a good 3, 4, 5 members of our friend group traded in like a huge chunk of their collection to pick up Mana Vault.
Amazing.
It's so
We were all like, we're gonna get Soul Ring, we're gonna get Mana Vault. It doesn't matter what the rest of the deck is. That's probably gonna buff up the power level enough. And then just past that, we just kept upgrading stuff.
I remember Josh from the Command Zone.
Yep.
He had an ongoing offer, which was, if you give me a dual land, I will give you a Sarah Angel. And at the time, that was like a really sweet trade. And all of his friends were like, yeah, of course. And now, you know, one of them is 15
Yeah.
cents and one of them is hundreds of dollars.
Dude, that's so funny you bring him up because one of my cards in my deck, I actually brought him up as the reason I ran it.
Okay.
So Borderland Rager was another card that I was like, they're probably going to ask you why you were running that. And it's a really specific, funny answer.
So can I
I-
just read it really quick?
Yeah, yeah,
Borderland
go for it.
Ranger, 2 and a green, human scout for a 2/2. When Borderland Ranger enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, and put it into your hand,
Yeah,
and then
not
shuffle.
Not into play. Into
yeah.
your hand.
Just into hand. So what's so funny about this is Josh Lee Kwai, you'll hear him say a bunch in the command zone that like hitting all of your land drops is the most powerful thing you can do.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember word for word hearing Luis Scott Vargas say that during a pro tour.
Mhm.
And like me being a 13-year-old just getting into Commander, I was looking through my collection, saw this card, and I was like, a 3-drop that guarantees you hit your land drop next turn?
Mhm.
That's incredible. It's so funny. Just like, even with Sakura and like Rampant Growth being in the same deck, I still thought Borderland was great.
It makes perfect sense because you're not gonna miss your land drop if you
Yeah,
play
I
'em.
have it. I hit my land drop.
I love the bounce lands for that, actually. 'Cause I'm like,
Yeah.
Sure.
I'm
For
like,
sure.
yeah, it's tapped. But a really good point I heard recently was that if you pay 2 mana for an Arcane Signet, but you miss a land drop, you basically would have been better to just play a land in the long run. And I guess
Yeah.
the shorter the game is, the less that's
Well,
true.
you're basically paying land to hit a land drop. You're paying
Yeah.
mana to hit a land.
Exactly.
Yeah, you could have had
not
2
only
extra
that,
mana.
you're playing land to hit a land drop that's easier to remove than a land is.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
100%. That's really interesting. I don't know if you've heard of Sapuphrius snail. I don't know how to say his first.
Salubrious.
Salubrious
I believe.
snail.
I don't
Yep.
know what it means.
He
Salubrious.
has his calculators that you can use online.
Oh.
And one of his calculators is showing the odds that you draw a land or the amount of lands you draw in your opening hand. And if you run 38 lands, there's like a 60% chance you draw 2 or more lands in your opening hand. And you can go all the way to running 50 lands in your deck before that percentage changes.
Oh,
Wow, really?
Isn't that interesting? So I literally saw that and I was like, oh, there's no reason. Maybe outside of a landfall deck where overall you want to be seeing more land.
right. Or some weird land discardy, some weird land trick deck.
There's no real reason to be running more than 38 if you're just doing it to see more in your opening hand.
Are you running
I found super
39 here,
interesting.
which is that's pretty responsible for.
Yeah, that's pretty mature decision.
Yeah, I
for
maybe
a
should have
league.
run like 45, 50 with the mana curve on this thing. Jeez.
My son was about the same age when he started, and he runs like 31 lands.
Well, yeah, he hates drawing land. He wants to draw the fun stuff.
Lands
Dude.
are good.
Isn't that messed up? Do you find that with your son that he's drawing a perfectly fine amount of lands in his opening hand?
Well, the thing
I've
is,
played with him. I don't know if that's true.
his deck is a Yuriko deck, which
Right.
just draws an insane amount anyways.
Yes, that's true.
And it's probably
It's probably totally
it's
Why-
not too bad.
Why is that the go-to for new players? My brother just started playing and he built a Yuriko deck.
Oh, it's so cool.
If I was starting, I'd be like, yeah, it's the same
Fair.
reason you throw Eldrazi Conscription in a deck.
Yeah.
It's pretty rad.
You want to do 16 damage from revealing
Yeah.
a spell. That's fair.
But-
That's fair.
I was like, oh, he's just learning. I don't want him to be like way behind. So let's get
Totally.
him something powerful, and then he just destroys everyone at the
Yeah.
table. Like,
I made that
even
point.
playing suboptimally.
100%. In one of the earlier videos I made, I talked about that, where if you're trying to get someone into the game, I think like a really good thing to do is portray that you're not trying to give the game to them
Yeah.
as best as you can, but let them win and experience
Yeah.
like the cool interactions and like what it feels like to win. I feel like is a big part of like why people decide to stick with the game or not.
Yep.
For sure, for sure.
And if I give him Yuriko, I legitimately will try hard against it. So I'm having more fun. But then also, I'm like, oh, you should play that on your second main phase, not your first. And then he's like, who cares? I
Man.
win anyways.
You know what? You've completely sold me on it. Yuriko makes sense now.
Yeah, for starting players, let them start on easy mode.
True.
What does a modern version of this deck look like for Nick?
Ooh, yeah.
So interestingly enough, I think it would be eerily similar to my modern version of my Taval deck.
Okay.
So it would run a lot more self mill. It would run Grizzly Salvage, if you don't know what that is. Black and a green. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library, put a creature or land from them into your hand, and put the rest into your graveyard. It would run a lot more stuff like that, so I could fill my graveyard quicker. Maybe stuff like Ripples of Undeath. I don't know if you guys are familiar with
Yeah,
that
that's a
one.
great
That
one.
That
one,
one's good.
absolute banger. Mill 3 on your pre-combat main. Pay 1, pay 3. Get one of the 3 you milled back into your hand. Incredible card. So I'd definitely run a lot more of that. And especially with some of the crazy reanimator stuff that's been released in precons.
Yes, there's been some pretty wild stuff.
Incarnation Technique is a card I wanted to shout out. So let me do a little precursor here and say I am terrible at power gauging cards before I play with them. I'm really bad at determining how good a card's going to be.
Or do you inflate or deflate the card?
I deflate it. I
Okay.
deflate it most of the
Oh,
time.
yeah.
I'll be like, this isn't as good as you guys are saying it is until I play with it. Incarnation Technique is 4 and a black. You mill the top 5 cards of your library, and you return a creature card from your graveyard into play. You may have target opponent copy this spell, and if you do, you get another copy of it.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So you get 2 things back. They get
So
one thing
yeah,
back.
yeah. So you
Yeah.
do one, and then if they choose to do one as well, you get a second one.
And I
So-
assume you like Bajuka Bog them, and then you target them.
Exactly. So that's
Yeah.
the thing, though, that's even better about it, is they don't get a choice.
I feel like
You-
I'm coming across as a way meaner player than I actually am. When we were talking about that multi-way game, when I was like, "Oh, you can play Turgid." Don't play Turgid. I wouldn't actually do that.
That's pretty rad. That's pretty rad.
That's funny.
Yeah, and do you have to reanimate a card that you milled or any card in your graveyard?
Any
For-
card. So
Yeah.
you force an opponent to copy it. They get no choice. And if you do force them, you get another copy. So you target the Spell Slinger deck at the table. And then as the Reanimator table, you just saw a total of 10 cards. And then the 2 best things that are in your graveyard in total. In most games, that's just like enough. If there was one card I had to pick from modern day Magic that I would love to see this version of Teneb, it would probably be Colossal Grave Reaver. I don't know if you guys
Ooh.
have heard of that one.
No, you're gonna have to.
Yeah.
Oh
It definitely sounds like a
man.
magic card.
Yeah, buckle up for this one,
All right,
dude.
I'm ready.
6, a green and a black for a 6/6 flying. When it enters, you mill 3 cards. Whenever you mill a creature card, put it into play. This ability triggers only once
Oh,
each turn.
amazing.
It's incredible. So you have that in play with like Ripples of Undeath, and you're like every pre-combat main, I'm just ripping the best thing I mill directly into play.
This is from Tarkir Dragonstorm. This is like a brand new
Yep.
card pack.
The Taval and that card are brand new cards that I would
Oh,
definitely
nice.
run in this one.
Oh, right, because yeah, there's a precon from Dragonstorm that like kind of like just goes right in with Teneb.
Oh man. So that's what's funny. My other deck right now that I'm running is I run Arna and then I run Taval, which Taval is just like my vicarious way of playing Teneb modern day. I absolutely love it. It was the best precon I've ever seen. Life from the Loam, Grave Titan. It had such good like cards in it. It was crazy. The card selection in that precon was nuts.
Mm.
That's wild. Amazing.
Okay, this is a bit of a moonshot. Was there any card that 13-year-old you really wanted for this deck but never got?
Oh, okay. So yes, let me think here for a second though. There had to have been.
Mana Vault feels like it fits right in.
Yeah,
When you-
I mean, yeah.
when you
Mana
finally
Vault.
added that must have felt good.
Dude, so good. So interesting. So with my that's what's so cool about this deck though. I think that's probably why I submitted it. Was so many cards in this deck were just like flex cards that I was like
Yeah,
shocked that I
right.
actually pulled out of a pack. Like Eldrazi Conscription was one, Karn was one, just a bunch of cards that I was like insane. I guess kind of along the lines of what you're saying would be this is gonna sound like such a easy to acquire card answer. but
Mhm. But back in
uh
the day.
yeah, but back in the day, Path to Exile.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure.
So
Yeah.
so what's so
Definitely
funny
better
about
than
that?
the effigy.
Exactly. So what's so funny about that card is I have this weird thing, and I still do it nowadays, where there's certain cards that I like so much when I see them in like spoilers or I see them in someone else's deck that I feel like I'm doing them a disservice if I just straight up buy them.
Right.
Uh-huh.
That makes no sense. I totally get that. That makes no sense. But
You're
as a
cheating.
13-year-old, I was like, I need to naturally pull a
Right,
Path
right.
to Exile.
That's how you earn things.
Yeah, I have to naturally pull one. Like,
So I'm doing something this year where I'm trying to not buy packs for the entire year and I'm just buying singles. And I think it is, at least money wise, I believe it's the correct way to go.
oh, 100%.
It seems more financially sane.
I
for
think
sure.
financially it's better.
100%.
but I have bought one pack. I bought my son a pack. He was like, "Can you buy me a pack?" And we were in Paris.
I don't
and
think
bought
that
him
counts as buying yourself a pack.
one.
Yeah. Come on. That doesn't count.
Give yourself a break.
And I've done a pre-release or two.
That
Yeah,
doesn't
but you're still
count.
you're not just
Yeah.
buying the pack to rip them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Take it easy on yourself.
You know, there is one card that I think would be good to put in this deck is the original Elesh Norn, because you have the original Shieldred, you have the original Vorinclex.
yeah.
The missing
Totally.
piece seems like Elesh Norn, and I assume it was printed at the time because the other ones are there.
It was in New Phyrexia, so 100%.
Yeah, that's a great card for a 12-year-old.
Do you guys ever get shocked with like how old a card can be and how good it still is?
Oh yeah.
Like I look at like OG Shieldred and I'm like, damn. I'm like, if that was printed nowadays, that's still crazy.
It's pretty bananas. I got started way back in Revised. Like one of the things is like now creatures are good, spells aren't as good, and back then spells were really good, creatures weren't as good.
Yeah, it's some ancestral
and some of the
recall back then.
spells from back then are just they're bananas. They're just beyond bananas.
Beyond like Ancestral Recall, I'm gonna play 1 blue to play draw 3
Yeah,
cards.
like,
Yeah,
that doesn't.
that's just a mistake. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
you can't fault them.
But
for
yeah, like you know, as we've talked previously, they couldn't have known. Like they
Yeah.
just started.
Exactly.
Like you
That
couldn't
was the-
possibly have known.
Very beginning of the game.
Here's another hot take. This is not really
Go
a
for
hot
it.
take podcast.
Cold Take podcast.
I think the fetch lands are one of the biggest design mistakes.
Well, they're tutors. They're land tutors.
They
Yeah.
make it trivial to run as many colors as you want.
Sure.
Yep.
I think actually Commander would be better without them.
Well, I mean, they're just another tutor, but they're for land. Like, is
Yeah.
it worse than a demonic tutor, diabolic tutor, all of these blue tutors?
I guess I might be in the wrong here. Let me know if I am. But in my opinion, I think the best Magic is played when everyone's on an equal playing field.
Mm-hmm.
If none of the other decks are running sack lands and you're running sack lands, like something as small as that can be like, yeah, you're much more at a winning position than the other
For
decks on
sure.
the table.
Mm-hmm.
It's a question of tune, like how tuned is your deck? And I think,
Exactly.
yeah, I totally agree. If everyone's playing at the same level, then the game is fun. And if there's someone who's tuned their deck to a level that is like a clear notch above the others, then like, it's like, not having classes in fighting sports. It's like, no, you gotta have like weight classes in fighting sports.
Exactly. You got a
but I feel-
heavyweight just smacking down the lightweights over here.
I feel like the fetch lands, though, they sort of get rid of the color pie to a certain extent. Because you can kind of run.
Sure.
I think games are most fun when you're making choices and not just shoving all the best stuff in a deck.
That's actually fair, because thinking about where like Magic started, if you're running a monocolored deck, you got to really efficiently do what that color was trying to do.
Right.
And if you wanted to do what two colors were trying to do, you had to have a trade-off of like lands being harder for you to get the ones you needed. But nowadays it's like, hey, feel free to run all 5 of them, the best things all 5 of them do, and you'll hit the perfect lands you need every time. When you're sitting across from a deck that has 4 or 5 colors, it's hard to feel like you're not at an inherent disadvantage. Like when I 1v1 my friend's 4-color Aragorn deck, it's like, it's hard to feel like I'm not at a disadvantage here.
Yeah. It's like, what is the theme? Theme is really, really important for me in every deck. And the whole point to me of having multiple decks is like they feel so different to play. And I think it's one of the reasons why I've gravitated towards single color decks is they're so different. When you don't have ramp or you don't have the same removal, it just plays in a totally different way.
100%. Well,
And I think that's how CDH it converges onto like, well, you're going to want the best of the best. And in those colors, and more colors means more mana options, etc., etc. You look at the mana bases for a CDH deck, they don't look all that different.
Yeah.
100%. Well, that was what was so funny. My friend recently started playing CDH, and he played against us with the CDH deck, and he won on like turn 4. And we were like, yeah, of course, that's how it goes.
Right.
And he hits us up a day later, and he's like, guys, I took out all the lands. It's no longer a CDH deck.
Right.
And we're both like, I don't think you quite get what's making that a CDH. It's the 2-card combos winning by turn 4.
Yeah.
That's really,
I mean, it's not a factor, but it's not the factor.
Exactly. It's not the factor. Exactly. Well, what's so interesting what you said, Neil.
Yep.
Neil. What you said was so interesting to me, because that's exactly why I like playing underplayed or like unique commanders or taking commanders in a unique direction. Something is so appealing to me, and not even just in Magic and anywhere, of there being a bar for entry to a thing. I really find that interesting. Running monocolor like is the ultimate bar for entry. It's like you only have access to red. What are you going to do? Like, you only have access to white. And if you have all 5 colors, there's no bar for entry. It's like, oh, I need card draw. It's like, well, I'm running blue, so great. That's awesome.
Yeah, 5 color good stuff is always going to be 5 color good stuff.
Yeah, mono white deck in this era of 2012, 2013 would probably be pretty bad because nothing draws cards. Like, I remember when I first started playing, I bought a Mangara for like $20. It's now like I don't know, $1 maybe. But it was like, it was one of the only white card draw spells.
Mangara still
like,
slaps. I played that last night and it drew me like 6 cards.
Nice.
Yeah, still good. Yeah. Well, we should wrap up. I think we should bring it home.
Any questions we didn't get to ask, or anything you wanted to say about the deck before we sign off?
Any terrible cards that you have notes saying like, why are you playing?
Beyond Brittle Effigy and the land?
Yes, so I've got... Let me see here. I've got No Path to Exile is one.
Yeah,
Esper Panorama is one. Eldrazi Conscription, Brittle Effigy. Awakening Zone is one that I kind of wanted to talk about, because I still think Awakening Zone is like an incredible card. 2 and a green for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you get a 0/1 Eldrazi spawn, and you can sack that spawn for a colorless.
Nice.
So in early Commander, when games were going that long, like I said, tokens inherently were just good because you could hold off the game longer for you to do your big play or your big turn. And then with these Eldrazi spawns, if people were just like, I'm not going to swing at him anyway, he has too many blockers, you're like, oh, I have 8 extra mana now next turn. And I'm going to go ahead and just do that whole game-winning play a turn early. I still think Awakening Zone is one of the best, like, mana rock token producer. I still think it's great. If your commander costs like 5 or more, throw an Awakening Zone in there.
Yeah, I could also see it in a token or an enchantment strategy.
For sure.
Yeah,
or just a creature strategy.
It's basically a mana battery that charges itself every turn.
Yeah,
exactly. And you just get tokens, you get bodies. If you have any kind of like interaction with buffing up your board, you could potentially use that later on. It just opens you up to a lot more branches that you could take.
Sweet. Well, I think that's it. Nick, where can people find you online?
On YouTube, they can find me on Nick's Lotus, NICK''S, Lotus, LOTUS. And same everywhere else on Instagram, TikTok. I essentially upload the same stuff on there. So check me out on YouTube. That's my main place. Awesome. Yeah, Nick's Lotus. I'm just making obscure decks, obscure cards, underplayed stuff, trying to bring some people back into the game that maybe are falling out of it or need some more inspiration.
And nice movie decks too. Shining deck, Big Lebowski. What other movies have you done?
So those are the only 3 I've done. I've done Big Lebowski, The Shining, and The Thing. Those are the 3 decks I've done, but that performed pretty well, so I'm definitely going to do another one. I recently made a video where I made 4 decks, for 4 content creators. And I made one for Necrogoblicon, Donkey, Annie Austin, and Nightmind. So four of my favorite creators there. So yeah, I want to do definitely more stuff like that. Again, like I said, I'm super psyched that you guys even thought that I was worth coming on here. So I really
yeah, for sure.
You definitely.
This was
great,
great chat and a really awesome look. It was like looking at a telescope back in time. So thanks for sharing this with us.
I hope so. I hope I didn't talk too much.
You did great.
No, that's the whole point.
Yeah. Well then, thanks for joining us, Nick, and we'll find you online. We'll see you around.
All right, that was really, really cool. This deck really makes me feel like nostalgic, even though it's for an era that I didn't play in.
Sure.
Looking at all these old cards really brings me back to this era that I didn't really live in, but I still like looking at.
But I remember, like, when I first started, I was still pretty young, and I'd be like just that idea of like, what, this card exists? Just like when Nick said he saw that mana vault, and I was like, what is a Sol Ring that taps for 1 more? That seems banana. And like, you didn't have spoilers and card lists and Scryfall where you could search every single card. It's just like whatever you and your friends knew was like the entire universe, and someone would show up with these cards that were like from another planet, and you'd be like, whoa, what is happening?
Yeah, if it was before the era where everything was super optimized and it was the best card at every slot, and where you had this consensus of net decking and trial and error that other people have done. It's really cool.
Where you could have you know what? I love Eldrazi conscription. I'm going to throw that in there.
Yeah, I think it still probably could be good in the right deck.
In the right deck, I'm sure it'd be pretty awesome. But that's the joy of Magic. Everybody enjoys it for different reasons, including teenagers and little kids and grown-ups who are big kids at heart.
Great. That's the episode.
That's us for another episode of Untapped Libraries. You can find us on Blue Sky and on YouTube as Untapped Libraries, as well as on Moxfield, where all of our guest deck lists are available to peruse. Our music is by Sparkling Water. You can find all of their music wherever you get your streams. Untapped Libraries is a proud part of the Podcavern Network, found at podcavern.com. If you have any questions, comments, requests, or decks from when you were a little kid, you can always reach us by email at untappedlibraries@gmail.com. Thanks for listening, and keep building.
Hi, I'm Nick Watson.
And I'm Bree Watson.
And we're the host of the Constant Struggle podcast.
We're also siblings.
That too.
Our podcast is about trying to balance art and life,
creativity and chores,
passion and paychecks.
Each episode, we talk to an awesome guest.
We learn about their art, their craft,
and all the frustrating struggles that come along with the journey.
So be sure to check out the Constant Struggle podcast
on the Podcavern Network.